session. So, Masters, today we'll continue with the rest of the chapters from the book Immortal Talks. It's been so long, I couldn't take the session, but we are nearing towards the end of this book with amazing wisdom. So, today we'll complete the fifth chapter, and we're still left with one more chapter from this book one. So, the last chapter is very interesting. So, is this the remaining chapter today we are going to talk? So, even this is going to be very interesting. So, Masters, we'll just revise what we went through in the previous sessions. So, we were talking about this chapter called Defeating Death. So, previously, we have talked about what happened to what was the reason behind the suffering of Urmi, because. Oh, goodness. 1 second, Master. So what was the reason behind Urmi's suffering? Because she has been ghastly suffering through seizures since her childhood. And Hanumanji took us through the journey of what actually is the reason behind Urmi's suffering. And the reason was Urmi's soul was longing to meet its twin part. So previously we've talked about how after giving us the whole scenario of what happened, finally Hanumanji brings us to a point. In this chapter, there might be a story that is running, but the underlying essence that we have to take from this chapter is about the concept of death. And this is one concept we always try to hush away or we put under the carpet because we don't feel very what do you say? We don't feel very comfortable while we talk about this concept called death. And it is never, even the utterance of the word death is supposed to be inauspicious. But in this chapter, Hanumanji tries us to explain about what death is and why it is important to understand this concept of death, because maybe our whole life might be an illusion. It might be a dream, but death is the only reality that is existing. Because no matter how the person is, who he is, whatever he is, everyone has to go through that process of death, unless there are yogis and ascended masters who have overcome the concept of death. But every soul who bears the packets of karma and desire eventually have to leave this physical body. And understanding more about this death concept gives us a perspective and better understanding of our everyday living. That is what Hanumanji tries to explain through this chapter, that each and every one of us should understand the concept of death and not fear or not shun away from discussing about it, because that always brings the perspective that nothing is going to be staying forever. Everyone has to leave one day. And with that concept or with that perception, when we see things, then we are very careful of what we do, what we act upon, or how we want to live our life. So death is very important concept that is to be discussed among the family members, and especially some as a topic that is to be instilled in the kids of today's generation. And it has always been openly talked in all our scriptures. You take it Gita, Vedas, Upanishads, everyone has talked about this concept of death. So in this chapter, Hanumanji underlines that concept of death. And when he gives us what exactly has happened with Urmi's soul, now the only thing that could help Urmi to prevent herself from the suffering is by the union of her soul with the other part of her soul, which is living in the body called Ravi in somewhere in India, and Urmi is somewhere deep in the forest area of Sri Lanka. Now, the Ashwin gods ask that how do you unite these two people and everything? And then Hanumanji gives us a concept of called as dream world. So here we need to understand is that human body exists not only in this physical and dense form that we can touch and feel. We are not this just like this physical or this gross denser form that we perceive ourselves of. So here Hanumanji tries to explain about dream world, that every soul to remove a part of its karma and desire that it carries, it uses this medium called or this area called astral world or dream world to work upon its individual karma and desire. So here we need to understand that human body exists in 7 different layers. I mean, the soul basically operates through these layers. So they call it as your physical body, your etheric body, your astral body, your causal body, your supracausal body, and your cosmic body or nirvanic body. And when it comes to koshas, they say it 5 koshas. They might also say it as 7 koshas also. Just like, your Annamaya kosha, your Pranamaya kosha, your Manomaya kosha, your Vijnanamaya kosha, and your Anandamaya kosha. And there is again this Nirvanamaya kosha, which is the final one. And there is this cosmic body. There's some name to it, I forgot. But there are 7 koshas and 7 bodies. So what happens is that removing the last 2 bodies, that is your cosmic and nirvanic body, which is your last 2 parts of the existence. The rest of the 5 mediums or the 5 body parts is used by the soul to experience itself in this illusionary world or in this reality. So the problem here is that just like a majority of we ignorant souls, we only operate through the physical body and the mental body. And majority of us are not even aware of the astral body also, that the soul has its own other dimension where it travels into the dream world using its astral body. So as Hanumanji says in this book that, human body is more like a cage to all the ignorant souls. So every day we sleep or when we shut our sense organs, our mind stops functioning. And then we rest our conscious mind and the body goes into relaxation mode. And now the soul uses the astral body to come out of its astral, come out of this existence to astral body and tries to live in the dream world. Now this dream world is not any dimension that is there, just like there is USA, there is India, there is China. But this dream world is very abstract in its form. There is no dimension to it. There is no north, south, east, west, or north pole or south pole. But this astral world is more like an what do you say, a projection of individual mind of that particular soul, or the karma and the desire packets that the soul has. So the soul projects that into its astral world and lives through the experience there. And eventually what the soul wants is to go through an experience, whether it's death, whether it's anything. It's all about living through that experience. But in a majority of everyday living, we in this book, as Hanumanji says, that in a given day, we have about 60 to 70,000 thoughts. And Hanumanji says that how desire comes out. Because in our everyday living, we use our jnanendriyas and karmendriyas to interact with the world around. So jnanendriyas, it can be your organs of knowledge, which is your eyes, through which you read, through which you see things, your ears, through which you hear things, through your nose, which you smell, through your mouth, where you feel the sensation of things. And especially the most important thing is the touch. So everything eventually has to be felt. So these are the organs of knowledge, your jnanendriyas. That is, by using these organs, you perceive your external reality. Now you use karmendriyas. Now once the knowledge is gained, you use organs of function, where you perform actions. Like you use your mouth to speak, to chew the food, and this is one of the organ. Use your hands to do some actions. You use your feet to do actions. You use your genitalias to produce, to reproduction, and also your sensual pleasures. That is also an action. And you use your excretory organs for the excreta to happen. So all these 5 are the karmendriyas. So basically a soul in this physical body and mental body use this jnanendriyas and karmendriyas, and that's how it perceives the external environment. And what happens here is that when in a given day we have 60 to 70,000 thoughts, we perceive our reality and we produce a thought or an imagination accordingly. Our mind is always at function. The only function of the mind is to produce thoughts, and it does an amazing job in it. There is no even a micro quantum second of a gap where the thought has cessated. Thoughts keep on coming. So if you link every thought to a desire, so imagine how many desires that a human being produces in a given day. So here Hanumanji tries to explain the concept of dream world. Why is it important? So he says that the human being who perceives his external environment using jnanendriyas and karmendriyas, the desires are like popping up every day. because the soul wants to experience it. Now, the problem here is that unknowingly the soul is trying to accumulate a lot of desires. So here he gives an example of Mahesh, who tries to go to a place where his father, where his friend's father went through an accident and he dies. So he's in that funeral place where he's perceiving the atmosphere. Now he keeps on, suddenly a thought sprouts out from his mind that what happens if my father goes through an accident and how will I react to that situation? Now the mind always tries to give a counter thought because your intellect is functioning there. We'll talk about that more later. So if the counter thought is not given, then the mind keeps on thinking on that particular thought. And over a period of time, that thought settles down onto your soul as a desire. Now the soul wants to experience it. Now this is something which is very devastating for Mahesh to live in and experience to the physical body. The soul thinks that let me experience in the astral world, in the dream world, in abstract form, whatever, because eventually the soul wants to experience it. So it doesn't matter where the experience comes from. So that's how the soul uses this dream world to curb down many of these desires and the karma packets that we keep on accumulating in a given day. So that's why the concept of be in the moment or be in the present moment. Because knowingly or unknowingly, the human mind has a tendency of gripping down to the negative thoughts more than the positive thoughts. So we keep on, recollecting our negative situations, all our traumas and everything. And suddenly we ourselves, knowingly or unknowingly, are wanting them to be experienced by us. So that is why it's very important. I understand that the importance of present moment, that be in the moment, don't try to put your thought to those things, because the more you think, it becomes a part of your desire. Now you have to experience it. So you are gaining so much desires and karma packets. The soul, for a soul, it becomes very difficult to go further in the evolutionary process. So that's how here Hanumanji explains about dream world, how the soul uses its astral body, comes out of the physical body and experiences it, a reality in the astral plane. That's how Mahesh goes through an experience, not like Mahesh, but in different forms and things. And somehow the experience is felt. It's what do you say, experienced by the soul in that world. So that's what is told here. And then after that, Hanumanji talks about, gives this whole understanding to Urmi. And when Urmi's soul and the soul of Ravi is taken into the astral world, there finally Urmi's soul unites with Ravi's soul under the guidance of Hanumanji and under the free will of the Urmi's soul. And Ravi and part of the Urmi soul, which was carrying the strings of monk, is transferred to Ravi, and Ravi just gets up from his deep sleep, as we have discussed in previous session, and just carries on with his regular work. He has no idea that so much has happened in the dream world, and he has no idea that one of his past lifetimes, what has happened, and even Urmi doesn't have idea of her being Chandra and Ravi being her son in past life. So nothing happens. They both of them get up from the deep sleep as if they had just went through some dream or something. So now Hanumanji is felt happy, Urmi is happy. Suddenly Hanumanji feels the presence of the god of death, Yama, there. And Hanumanji tries to see what happened, why is Yama here, and he understands that Urmi has to go through the experience of death now. The soul of Urmi has to go through the experience of death. So Hanumanji wants to help Urmi, and for that, he gives us the knowledge of death here and how one can experience death. So when Urmi and Hanumanji always tells that, for Urmi, that ignorance, when a person is weak, he's not weak by his physical body, mental body, or any other thing, but he's weak because he's ignorant of the knowledge that he's a powerful soul. So it's very important that one should have the knowledge that we are all powerful souls. That will make the difference. So that is the difference between being powerful and being weak. Being powerful is having the knowledge, and being weak is being ignorant that you are not that powerful soul. So that's the difference. So for that, Hanumanji starts explaining Urmi about the process of death here. So we'll get into today's session. So now Hanumanji tries to explain to Urmi the concept of death, because now Hanumanji also explains in the previous chapter about what is that one thing that prevents the person from identifying himself as that powerful soul. He gives a beautiful example of the story of this king and his attachment to the palace. So even though the sage comes and tells him that, that your palace is going to burn down, you have to detach yourself from the palace. The king tries his best to protect his palace, but eventually the palace gets destroyed, so has the king. So it's very important that Hanumanji, in the whole book of this Immortal Talks, underlying wisdom that Hanumanji is telling was to practice detachment, practice detachment. That is the one thing that is gonna, in fact, harm you, rather than, it on the superficial level, it might seem that, it looks, it contaminates all your love and everything. So there is a difference between love and unconditional love and the love that we talk about. And when attachment comes here, then it dilutes the emotion of love. So unconditional love gives you freedom, gives you energy, and gives you that, freedom from everything of this nature. But when this love is being infested by this thing called as attachment, then fear, insecurities, everything comes here, and it destroys not only the person, but also the person associating himself with, the people around also. So here, after Hanumanji can't directly explain to Urmi about death. So before that, he explains to Urmi about the concept called attachment. And why does he tell us about this concept called attachment is because death is something, as I've told, no one wants to discuss about it, and it's a very fearful concept to be discussed about. Now, when Urmi knows that her body is, that she has to go through the experience of death, and when Hanumanji says that you have a very less time, so please listen to me carefully and understand what you need to do, because otherwise you're going to go through that experience of death, and this Urmi of the body is going to be destroyed. So now when Urmi comes to know that she's going to experience, then she humbly asks Hanumanji to explain her what to do and how to overcome this concept called death and everything. Now, Hanumanji starts explaining her about death. So here, Hanumanji says that, Urmi, that you must realize that your soul and millions of your fellow humans are entrapped in this concept called body and mind. And in fact, I would say that they're caged in this concept called body and mind. And unless and until you don't separate yourself from these two concepts, it's very difficult for you to understand what I am saying. So then Urmi says that I am completely surrendering to you. So please tell me what I need to detach, how I need to detach, and why is it important for me to do it. So Hanumanji then starts explaining her that when he talks about death, Hanumanji says that death is not something you need to be worried about, and death is not a big deal. There's nothing to be scared of it, because it's just an experience your soul goes through. So after explaining about that, then Urmi starts understanding that I understand that you foresee that my present body is gonna go through the concept of, to the process of death, just like how the, the king went through destruction of his palace. So that's why I understand that you have told me that story. So please give me much more wisdom on that. So Hanumanji immediately feels a sign of relief that at least Urmi understood that why I told that fable of king and palace. Now he says that Urmi, you also need to understand that if this process of experiencing death would have been in the astral world, I would have taken you there into that world very, easily, and we would have worked it in the dream world. But here we need to understand that you have to go through this experience of death in this physical human world. So for that, you need to have the knowledge or understanding of it. And you need to understand that you are a soul. So it is not the end of you, because the soul never dies, as I've told you previously. It's just more like you're just changing the clothes. So you can detach yourself from this physical body, take up another body and go through that experience. So then Hanumanji starts talking to Urmi, trying to give her examples, much more examples to understand this process. So now Hanumanji says that, Urmi, suppose one of your friend, Janaki Rupa, who's here collecting the firewood. Now, if she says that, let's go home, Urmi, then you need to understand that it's your body and your mind that recognizes your friend's voice and reacts accordingly. So here the body and the mind of Urmi is reacting. So let her react the way she does. You don't have to engage yourself with that reaction because you are a soul. You need not identify yourself as a body called Urmi. You can distance yourself from that reaction and choose to engage with some other body and mind of your choice. So this is one of the example which Hanumanji gives to Urmi. Now Urmi is trying deeply listening to Hanumanji, so she's trying to visualize what Hanumanji is trying to say. Now the second example Hanumanji gives is that, suppose Urmi, you have a smell in the air. Now just like your body and mind can immediately decipher that smell as an expectant rain is going to happen. It's going to rain in the next few minutes. We all know that, right? When it's monsoon season is going to start, we get a subtle, amazing smell of the soil, which comes when the rain is going to come. So that smell, when it comes, we all know that it's going to rain because of the experience that we have gathered, because we have seen it multiple times and it's registered in our memory. So Hanumanji says that once you feel that you can decipher this probable occurrence of rain, you might feel proud of your ability to forecast the rain just by smelling the air. But you don't need to engage with that feeling. Let the body and mind of Urmi do what she's doing. You are a soul that is free to choose whether you want to identify with the body called Urmi or with someone else. So this is again a second example Hanumanji tries to give to Urmi. Then Hanumanji says that, suppose your mind, that is the mind of Urmi, is trying to generate thoughts. What are those thoughts? Thoughts like, it's going to rain outside, it's a rainy season. And some other random thought comes again that, these outsiders are greedy people. They come to the jungle, they destroy the jungle for their own personal needs. So whatever the mind and the body is reacting, let it react, because it is the body and the mind of Urmi that is cursing the people who live outside the jungle. Let her curse them, it's her nature. So you might not choose to identify yourself as Urmi. You are a free soul. When you let go of the identity of Urmi, you have a choice to use many other identities, many other clothes to wear, many other bodies to explore. So this is not you. You are a soul. You are not Urmi. So don't identify yourself with the qualities of Urmi. Now Urmi took a moment and she started to assimilate the information and various examples that Hanumanji is giving. And she's on pinpoint focus. She's only listening to Hanumanji. There is no other thing that was coming into her mind. Now Urmi is trying to talk to Hanumanji just to express herself that what she understood. Now Urmi starts saying that, Deva, I'm trying to understand that this body and mind called Urmi is familiar with a god called Hanuman. So let her connect to her god in whatever way she's doing. But as a soul, I am free. Now I can identify, I can come out of this, this identity of Urmi by connecting her to who is connected to this god called Hanuman. And I can go and choose any identity or any body that has never known or heard of this name called Hanuman. So am I thinking in a right way, Hanumanji? Is my thought process right? Then Hanumanji doesn't answer anything. Then again she says that, oh, okay, this is the body and mind of Urmi that is asking the question. Okay, now she becomes silent, and now Hanumanji answers her. He says that, Urmi, you need to understand that you are in a Maya and you are in an illusionary world, in a reality. It might be very true to you, but you are using your sense organs, your jnanendriyas and your karmendriyas, and you're continuously perceiving the nature around you. And this universe and the way that you are perceiving, it is so subtle and so diverse are the ways that in which you are perceiving and reacting to this world, Urmi, that you might not be aware about all of them. There are so many things that are missing out of your awareness. So suppose, imagine there is a cobweb or there is a spider web, which is very thin, but slimy, and it's very sticky. So suppose a fly goes and sticks to that spider web. What happens? From one side, the fly is trying to free itself, but from the other side, it's still stuck to the spider web because it's very thin and it's very sticky. So that is how the reality or the world that you are in, it is so subtle and so diverse that even though you want to try to perceive it, your mind is like everywhere. It is continuously perceiving information. It is like scattered everywhere. It is so diverse that it becomes difficult for you to work through such a scattered mind. So now Hanumanji tries to explain to her how to work or how to bring her thought process to one pointedness. So here we need to understand here that as I've talked, that we as a soul operate through our five bodies, that is your physical body, your etheric body, your astral, that is your mental or emotional body, different names to that depending on the school of thought. So then there is your causal, supracausal, your cosmic and nirvanic body. So putting all those things aside, majority of us operate through the physical body and through our emotional body. We identify ourselves, the I part that is there in us, that always try to identify itself by the concept of, starting from our name, what do you say, the caste, the creed, the country that you are born in, the school that you have studied, the people that you have met, the social conditions that you grew up, whether you're poor, you're rich. Again, there is a sexual discrimination. You're a male, you're a female. The type of society that you come from, everything starts giving you an identity from the moment you are born to the moment you get into the stage of adulthood. And you have your emotions, you have your different emotions that you perceive the reality with. You have your happiness, your joys and everything, and you perceive your external reality with your emotions also. So majority of us are perceiving the external reality with respect to our physical body and our emotions. Now, a person who detaches himself from this physical body and the emotional body, and when he sees himself with the concept of soul, that is Jivatma, a part of the soul that has come from the higher self and is perceiving this reality using this physical and emotional body, then the way that they perceive the world and the reality is very different. A person might be highly intellectual, he has all the knowledge, he has got Nobel laureates, he has got so many things, but he's confined to the I-ness of his physical and his emotional or his mental body. But a person who has just crossed that limit of physical body and I-ness, just like Ramana Maharshi, they look at the world in a different way. They see the universe in a different way. So that's how here Hanumanji is trying to explain to Urmi that you need to detach your I from your physical and your emotional body and see yourself as Atma or the Jivatma or the soul that is just having the experience using this physical body. Now we go to this famous picture that discuss about this parable from Katha Upanishad, where they talk about the concept of how the whole human existence come with respect to the soul. So, it's always told that one second. Okay. So, yeah. So here, even we have gone through this chapter where Lord Krishna talks to, in Bhagavad Gita, where Lord Krishna talks to Arjuna, saying that you are Atma, and there is no death to Atma, so don't shy away from doing your duty or your Karma Yoga part. You have to go and kill the people because there is Dharma that needs to be established. So here, Lord Krishna, he says to everyone that, even to Arjuna, that all living beings are eternal, because you need to see yourself with respect to the soul. And the soul can move from body to body, and our current body is only a temporary cloth or a container for our soul. Then what is this true nature of that I that we are obsessed or trying to understand about I? So it's neither the body nor the mind. So because the body and the mind will eventually die, so how can that thing be eternal? So it is all culminating to that one point called as Jivatma. So here we need to understand that the body and mind are not two disconnected things, and they are always connected and they affect each other. So here, the chariot that you're seeing, where the person is sitting, that is considered as body. And the sense organs here are your horses, and which are, if uncontrolled, if your sense organs are uncontrolled, then it can pull your body as well as your chariot, which means your chariot in different directions. So if the chariot is driven by a person called driver, here he is described to that concept called intelligence, and those threads that control the horses, those reins, they're called as the mind. So if the chariot is driven by this driver who constructively uses the senses, that is the horses, then your life is very properly set. But here we need to understand that the mind control is a very complex layer, because it includes different concepts called as ahankara, chitta, and all these things. And the one person who's sitting there with a question mark is the Jivatma, who's experiencing all these things through this phenomena called as human body and sense organs. So here we need to understand that the 5 horses represent the sense organs. They are your eyes, your ears, your smell, your taste, and your touch, and the emotions they trigger. In short, the senses and the emotions are involved here. And the path that you're seeing, that path includes different, things that will, or the materialistic world that we are going through. So here we need to understand that if the senses are not controlled properly by the intellect, here let us understand this intellect part, that is the buddhi part, because intellect can be understood in different ways. So as the mind, because mind is not just one thing, but it has been told with the different aspects in different philosophy. But here let us understand how our mind functions. There are 2 aspects of our mind. One is conscious and unconscious. Now the unconscious mind always constitutes one part, that is your ahankara or your ego. And there is another part called as mindset. Here you need to understand what this ahankara is. Ahankara is nothing but, ego is nothing but, it's your social identities. That is, I am the boss. He or she is my subordinate. I am subordinate. She is the boss. So there is a social control that gives you an identity, and so has you behave accordingly. So that is your ahankara or your I-ness, that I am so and so, these are my beliefs and everything. Now the mindset is another aspect of the mind itself, which is more like your attitudes, from where your thoughts, your opinions, all those things come out. So these all together culminate and give you become a part of your unconscious mind. So now all these are coming from the concept called identity and how you are perceiving your external reality. That is your I. Even though you're in the same house, living with your parents, living with your identical twin brother, your I is not same. You're so different. You think things very differently. So your mindset, your identification of yourself with respect to the external world is very different. So that determines your unconscious mind. Now there is this driver called as intellect. There's a difference between intellect and intelligence. They say that. So here, what do you mean by intellect? You say a person is intellectual. What do you mean by that? It means that it is more of a rational mind thinking. A person who uses his mind rationally, depending on the information that he gathers. We need to understand that we are using our sense organs every day, and accordingly, we are creating memory in ourselves. Because if suddenly, if anyone asks me to read some language which I have never exposed myself, I have no understanding to that, even though the person is cursing me or something, I won't understand, I won't react, because I don't have knowledge, I don't have information where I can understand and perceive the information. So an intellectual person, he operates in the boundaries where the information is given. But here there's another thing called intelligence. Intelligence is connected to your soul. We need to understand that you, me, everyone has gone through many, many, many incarnations. And the soul is supremely knowledgeable. Everything is there. It's a powerhouse of data. But we never access it. We never try to open the door. We are always confined within our borders, that this is only what I know and this is how I'll operate. But the moment you access that intelligence, that is, you connect with your Jivatma, then the world is going to change like anything. Then you are like open to beauty, you are open to excitement. The instinct part starts working. So more or less, when we are in our state of ignorance, when we are not using our buddhi, which is a combination of intellect and intelligence properly, then our mind is going to take us for a ride. Definitely, we are going to travel on the road with the horses, but we might reach a destination which is not our true destination or our true purpose of life. But when you use your horses, your sense organs, you have complete control of your mind, consciously aware and using your intellect and intelligence with respect to that Jivatma connected to your higher self, then the journey is going to be an amazing ride. So that is what I'm trying to explain here, to see like even how to detach from this concept called body and mind. For that, we need to understand what is mind, how does the mind function. So the mind uses your sense organs. It tries to create, your beliefs, your attitudes, your thoughts, everything. So we need to question everything. We should never settle down that I know everything. So we always need to have a question and always want to perceive things more, so that we break our own rigid old habits and we try to access in this reality by aligning ourselves to our higher self. The more we get connected to our higher self, the more the intuition part comes up. You take any scientist or anything, any person, be it Plato or be it Newton or anyone, even the great mathematician Ramanuja, everyone says, especially Ramanuja has spoken out outwardly very clearly that my mother, I don't know the deity name, but it's got to be a part of Saraswati Devi, says that she speaks to me, all the formulas, I just get them. So that might be very bizarre to people, but that is how he's completely aligned and surrendered to his higher self, and that's how the knowledge flows. So here, Hanumanji is trying to explain to us that when you see, this is a beautiful thing that he tries to explain to Urmi, that whatever you are feeling, Urmi, the shadow that is being fallen on the stream of water that you are seeing, that is your Jivatma. But the sun that is there, that is the higher self that you have to finally get united with. So this physical body, this mind, emotional body, or whatever you are trying to understand yourself with respect to these two things are not your reality. So try to get detached from both of them in that way. So after giving this knowledge, Urmi asks that, okay, I understand, then what should I do, Hanumanji? Then Hanumanji beautifully says to Urmi that first, convert this diversity, the scattered mind of you that is trying to perceive everything and is just all over the place. Try to bring it to one pointedness. Try to bring it to a uniformity. And my mantra that I would give to you is try to do the jap of the word Ram. So it's beautifully told in Patanjali Yoga Sutras, the 23rd Sutra of Patanjali, where Patanjali says that one of the method where you can attain Samadhi is by the process of Ishvara Pranidhana. That is complete focus on the word of the, the name of the God. So Hanumanji says that chant this word Ram, chant it until you start seeing the Lord Ram everywhere. See him at the source of everything that reaches your senses. You feel him in every particle your body comes in contact with. Let him be everything your mind can perceive. Let him descend in the subject of every thought of yours. So he be everything that is perceivable to you. And eventually you have to see himself in you also. Your mind should not think of anything else other than the word of Ram. And when the body called Urmi will get enchanted by the word of Ram or the Ram mantra, and Ram is all what she'll see everywhere, then you, the soul, will clearly see what it needs to detach from. So instead of complex world on one side and your soul on the other side, it will become a uniform, single pointed world on one side, which is the world of Rama, and your soul is on other side. And all you will be able to is to break away from it, and which will become easy for you. So bring that concept of Ishwara Pranidhana, which is talking in this, where he was trying to explain Urmi to work upon. And after that, Urmi says that, okay, Deva, I'm ready to do it. And when Hanumanji starts repeating that mystical sound of Ram, then the word Ram is filled and Hanumanji starts speaking it. And Urmi's body, which was initially tensed, there was a lot of tension and anxiety in the Urmi's body. On the first chant of Ram, it slowly eases up, and Hanumanji slowly starts repeating the mantra or the word of Ram. Then slowly Urmi comes into a resting position, her eyes open slowly, and her head, which was initially bowed down, starts to come into an erect position. And the more the Hanumanji continues with the word Ram, she slowly loses the awareness, and she slowly loses the awareness that Hanumanji is speaking the word, and even the presence of Hanumanji also. And on the seventh instance, when Hanumanji speaks the word Ram, then he sees that Urmi's soul is going through an out-of-body experience. And after Hanumanji watches that, he immediately shouts the name of Urmi, and Urmi just gets back from her physical body. She wakes up from the physical body. And now she starts asking Hanumanji that, did I just make a trip out of my body? Did I really leave my body? Then Hanumanji says that you have done it brilliantly well. So now Urmi says that, asks Hanumanji a question that, what if my soul has not returned to this body, Deva? She feels little trembled because now she knows that she can detach herself from the body by the knowledge and wisdom given by Hanumanji and her practice. But there is still a fear that what if she doesn't get back to the body, what happens? Then Hanumanji says to Urmi that is not your concern, Urmi. You are a soul. This body can take care of itself. Again, don't fall back to the trap of attaching yourself to this physical body. So we see, how much ever wisdom that we take, somewhere our I-ness goes back and attaches itself with the physical body and our emotional body. So here, Urmi is still somewhere lingering there. So this body, when Hanumanji says that, forget about what is going to happen to body, this body will take care of itself. Now, I am very, pressing deeply upon this one statement that completely detach yourself from the body. Don't do the mistake that the king has done with the palace. Because the more, even an inclination of your attachment to this body is going to damage you like anything rather than you detaching from the body. So forget about that body. Don't even think what is going to happen about the body. So it's your presence that is going to damage this body. So always in the back of your mind, remember the fable that I've told you about the king and the palace. Just always remember it. Then Urmi says that, okay, Deva, I'm just curious. And she just tries to cast away her fears. Then she says that, Hanumanji, I don't remember what happened to my body in that moment where you said I had the out of body experience, or my soul detached itself from the body. Or nor do I have any recollections of my soul's whereabout. How was the process? What happened? Where did it go? I have no remembrance of it. But you are watching my body, weren't you? So please tell me, how did it behave, or where did my soul go? What scenes did I live? Because I'm unable to recollect it. Then Hanumanji simply asks Urmi one question, that, Urmi, do you remember all your dreams? Then again, Hanumanji immediately answers that you don't remember, right? So when a soul returns to a body after a trip outside, whether it's a trip into the dream world or in the human world, it may not bring memories at all, or maybe sometimes it brings partial memories. So forget about what is happening in your out of body experience. I didn't notice any wave of abnormality in your body when your soul left your body. It was just for a fraction of a second. And I can bet you that nobody could have noticed any change, even though if it was for a little longer period. So when Hanumanji gave this answer, then Urmi said that, would my body stay soulless? Or a body can stay without the soul? Because these are the questions that we all have in the back of our minds, right? So then the question thrown by Urmi is that, would my body stay soulless had my soul been away for a longer period? Say, suppose if I am leaving my physical body for a day, will my body be able to live? Then Hanumanji says that not necessarily. Maybe some other soul would have occupied it. Now, what is this is going to explain the answer that Hanumanji has given here. He'll explain it in the later chapter, in the last chapter, what happens. And there is this book called Echoes of the Soul by Eco Bodin. In that, she beautifully explains how multiple times in a given day the soul exits our body, even in our wakeful state also. So not only even while we are in the dream, in a resting phase or anything, sometimes even our wakeful state also, a part of the soul just goes and wherever it wants and just come back. So detailedly she explains about the soul, this journey and everything. So if anyone is interested, please read that book, Echoes of the Soul by Eco Bodin. It's a beautiful book. So then after this conversation, when Hanumanji gives her answer, then Urmi says that, Deva, my purpose to leave this body is to protect the body from the looming death. So what would be the point if I never return to this body, if some other soul is coming and occupying my body? So what is the point? Why should I leave this physical body? And because Urmi is still having deep instilled fears here, she's still somewhere getting attached to the body, and Hanumanji wants to give clarity to Urmi before she creates a mishap here. So Hanumanji says that, Urmi, you will return, definitely. Because here you need to understand, Urmi, that your soul is not completely free. Your soul is still burdened by the packets of karma and desire, which we have talked in the previous chapters. Because when we attribute ourselves with the physical body and emotional body, the I that we identify ourselves is with respect to our gender, our name, our profession, and everything. But at the soul level, Hanumanji say that when you identify yourself with respect to the soul, there are only two categories. One is the category of karma, and the other is the category of desire. These two will determine your whole existence. What is going to be your next life, and what is going to be happening in your present life. Everything is determining by these two packets called karma and desire. These are the only two identifications to your soul. Your personal and mental body might identify with so many things, but this is the only truth. And this is how, any soul will carry on with its next incarnations and the whole journey towards liberation. So we always have to think on these two aspects of our karma and our desire. So Hanumanji says that your soul is not completely free. It is still burdened by the packets of karma and desire. Here, you are just getting rid of some packets of karma and desire to enable yourself so that you can live in some other body. So if you free yourself completely from the karma and desire, you would return to nothingness, Urmi. You would have attained moksha. And here he gives an understanding to these two concepts called moksha and godhood. He says that if all your karma and desire packets are neutralized, they are become zero, then you have attained that nirvanic state or the moksha, where you have mingled with nothingness. And if you are able to adjust yourself with your karma and desires at your will, that you can detach, just like how Urmi did. She can detach herself from one body and she can move into another body. You would have attained godhood. So there is a huge difference between moksha and godhood. And he further speaks about these two concepts in detail, but he just gives an understanding to Urmi here. So then Hanumanji breaks Urmi's fears and he says that Urmi, right now, you don't worry about what is going to happen to your body. Some other soul is going to come, whether you're not going to come or not. Forget about all these things. First, detach yourself from the physical body and this identity of yourself as Urmi. That is the most important thing that you need to do. And you have to have complete faith in the process that we are going to do it. So right now, I have looked for yourself to take up another identity, and I am arranging for you all these things so that you can defeat the approach of the death and you can save your physical body. And then Urmi says that, okay, I bow down to you, and she says that what I completely surrendered to the process, Hanumanji. So immediately Urmi's friends call Urmi, and Urmi looks at Hanumanji, and Hanumanji says that, okay, just now you go. But whenever you hear the chant of Ram in my voice, which will definitely reach your ear, do the process that I have taught to you. You have to immediately start doing it. Then she says that, as you said, Deva, I'll do it. And she gets up and she starts walking with her friends. Now Hanumanji says that, and he turns and he walks towards the god of death, Yama, who was waiting there. And he had a little funny conversation with Yama, asking that, why are you here and everything. And Yama says that, Hanumanji, you know everything. Why are you asking me that question? I know for whom I have come. Then Hanumanji says that, okay, and Yama becomes silent, and Hanumanji asks that, what is the process? What are you going to do? Then Yama says that in exactly 11 seconds, there would be a very strong wind, and Urmi is walking, and one of the branches of the tree would be broken and it is going to fall on Urmi, and that will be the reason for her death. Now immediately Hanumanji just distances himself and he starts chanting the name of Urmi. And no one was hearing that word. That word was not being heard by anyone except to the ears of Urmi. And when that mantra reaches Urmi's ear, the world around her becomes uniformly painted. And all she could see was Ram in everything, in the phenomena of the wind, in the trees, in the flying dust, and eventually everything in the particles around everywhere. Eventually, she herself sees as Rama. And her own body, and the idea of a body separate from the external world. And she immediately, on the 10th second, she immediately sees everything around her, inside her, outside her, in the mosaic picture of Lord Rama. And in the 11th second, the soul detaches from the body and the mind of the Urmi. So it's no more associated with the physical body of Urmi. So here author says that the destiny has been cheated, and the branch of the tree that was expected to fall on the Urmi did not fall at all. And Emma saw that Urmi's body came to a halt at a moment and nothing has happened. And on the other side, Lord Hanuman was smiling with a lot of satisfaction, and he feels happy that Urmi's soul has detached from her body. And unlike the king who was unable to detach himself from the palace. Now, immediately, Yama starts calling the name of Kala, the god of time, saying that, what happened, Kala? And Kala appears saying that, Yama, my dear brother, my calculations was not wrong. And he says that the experience of the death for Urmi's soul was to begin at the 11th second, and it has already begun. And Yama did not hear the last sentence. He was much worried that why didn't the branch break and fall on Urmi's body. So again, he immediately shouted in the god's name of Pavan, the name of the god Pavan, who is the god of the wind. And immediately the god of the wind appeared, and he explains himself that I was supposed to trigger that experience of death for Urmi's soul. But Yama, you need to understand that the soul of Urmi is not in that body. How can I trigger that experience? And Yama says that no, she's right there. I can see her. She's going through. She's walking under the tree. Then the god of the wind, Pavana, says that Emma, just calm down. She's not there. And slowly, when Emma just calms down, he realizes that Urmi's soul is not in the body, but yet it is somewhere else, experiencing through the process of the death. And now it is what? Where did the Urmi's body go? Urmi's body has gone into this old body called Ram Narayan, and this person called Ram Narayan. Yeah, so he is an old person living in the Matang tribe, and he was in his last breath, and he's in an old age home far away from jungle where Urmi was living. And here we need to understand this concept of death here, that when a soul has decided that it's going to leave this physical body, it goes, there is multiple times the soul leaves the body, because now what happens is that the soul wants to try to finish off how many desires it has. It wants to finish it off. So here, what happens with the body of Ram Narayan here is that his body was not completely dead. He was in his old age. He was about to die in any time. Now his soul is no more in the body. It has left the body, and it wants to fulfill its last wish, which his old physical body was unable to fulfill. And that last wish was to experience the love of its family members, because the family members of Ram Narayan have abandoned him in the old age, and there was no way his desire or his last wish could be fulfilled through the body he called his own all his life. So the soul was trying to experience that through that desire through the astral body, and it uses his astral body, goes and visits your loved ones. So as per the arrangements made by Lord Hanuman with the permission of the soul residing in the Ram Narayan's body, when Urmi's soul detached from her body, Ram Narayan's soul immediately occupied the body of Urmi. So neither did Ram Narayan knew about it, neither did Urmi's body have any idea about it, nor did the friends surrounding Urmi know that something like this has happened. So her friends did not notice, and one of her friends, Janaki Rupa, was holding the those dried branches for lighting or for cooking, which they use it. Suddenly, because of that wind, that one of the bundle falls down, and Urmi suddenly just within bends down, takes that bundle and helps Janaki Rupa, and slowly they go to their community. And here we need to understand that a soul largely knows itself by the identity it wears, by the respect to the body and the respect to the mind it acquires. And Ram Narayan's soul, who has now entered into the body of Urmi, has identified itself with the Urmi's body and Urmi's mind. So now it recognizes her friends and families as its own. It has no idea that it was just in some other body called Ram Narayan. So only a highly evolved sage or highly matured ascended master or some saint can identify the difference. So Hanumanji know about it. So when Urmi returns to her community, Baba, who is head of the Matang tribe, immediately identifies that she is not Urmi. The soul that is there in the body of Urmi is not the original soul that was there actually. So he asks that, who are you? Then Urmi says that, why are you asking me that, Baba? I am Urmi. Then Lord Hanuman explains to Baba that what exactly has happened. And here on the other side, Ram Narayan's soul, which is there in the body of Urmi, eventually goes to Urmi's there in the community. So she's interacting with the Matang people. So the last desire of Ram Narayan is fulfilled, where he accidentally meets his family members there. And on the other side, the Urmi's soul, which is in the body of Ram Narayan, it goes through that experience of death. When Urmi's soul after experiencing the death and Ramnarayan leaves, finally the death experience is finished, immediately Urmi's soul returns to the original body and Ramnarayan's soul goes into the dream world, ready for another process of reincarnation. And for Urmi, it is just more like a nightmare or just like a dream that she went through. She has no idea that what has happened when she was in Ramnarayan's body, or what happened to her body when Ramnarayan's soul has occupied her body. So this concept has been widely talked, which we call as Parkaya Pravesham in Telugu. It is beautifully done with Shankaracharya, Adi Shankaracharya also, where while he was going or traveling all across India, debating on the knowledge of Vedas and everything. One place he meets uh, Madan Mishra and his wife. So on the debate, this person called Madan Mishra, he loses the debate, but his wife Saraswani, she who is acting as a judge or a moderator, enters into the debate and she challenges Adi Shankaracharya. And when the debate, she is also a very learned lady and a scholarly lady. So the debate further goes on, but Adi Shankaracharya seems giving amazing answers to everything. But now Saraswani comes to know that since Adi Shankaracharya is a brahmachari, and she brings the topic of um, the knowledge on kama, especially with respect to sex and family life. So since she knows that Adi Shankaracharya couldn't answer such question because of his astute brahmacharya, celibacy, now immediately Shankara takes the defeat and he asks permission of the lady that you just give me some time, I'll definitely come back with answers. So while Shankara was walking through the jungle along with his disciples, he sees a dead body of a king, and his name was Amarukanu. So he told his disciples that now he's going to enter into the body of the king Amaruka, and he asked his disciples to preserve his body in a cave till he returns. Now Shankara becomes king Amaruka and he goes back to the king's palace. During his life as a king, he learns about all the sexual pleasures and family life and the understanding on that particular concept which he was not aware of. Then he returns to his own body after some time and he goes back to Saraswani and answers all the questions which related to that concept. So this Parakaya Pravesham, or the soul detaching itself from the physical body, entering into another body or a body of an animal, is talked very widely in our ancient philosophy, or in our stories, ancestral stories. So this is that concept which says that we can't identify ourselves with respect to our physical body and our emotional body, but we are something called Atma. And that is the underlying essence that Hanumanji wanted to give us, that the only way, this is a very intense knowledge, and all this is theoretical knowledge. We are yet to experience it, but knowledge is always powerful. It gives us strength to go through that process. And the one, even two things that is widely talked in this entire book and told by all our great ascendant masters, even in Patanjali Yoga Sutras, is Abhyasa and Vairagya. That is, practice your detachment. You keep on practicing it, finally you'll reach it somewhere or the other. But practice should be done every day, because it's going to be very intense practice and it's going to take many lifetimes. But at least you start practicing from gaining this knowledge. So start seeing yourself as an Atma, as an experiencer, rather than your physical body and your emotional body. And this is how Urmi detaches herself from the identity, saves her physical body, and it goes through the experience. Destiny is not altered, because here it was said that the soul has to experience the death. The soul has experienced the death and it came back into the physical body of Urmi. So this is about the chapter Defeating Death. And there's one more chapter called Cursed Souls. It's an interesting chapter, which we'll talk in the next session. Yeah, masters, any questions, please, or any sharing you want to add on this subject, please do. Thank you. Okay, yeah. Any sharing, anything, please do, Masters. Hope you got some essence, or I don't think so. Something went over the head.
Thank you, Ramli ma'am. It's a complex topic, but you explained it with such simple, I don't know, understanding, trying to make us understand. Like you just said, right, this is all theoretical, but knowledge is always useful. So thank you. And I love the way you take an effort to make the slides, and you've shown all those, the chariot and how, I've seen that before, but it really makes more sense the more we see it and understand it. Very beautiful story. I'm just falling in love more and more. So thank you for bringing this to us. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Vindhya ma'am. Thank you. Please do back and read this chapter. Each person's understanding is different, so you'll enjoy, definitely.
Who's the author? Immortal Talks.
He's called Shunya. I don't know who the author is, so the name is not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He or she is called Shunya. We don't know. The name is Shunya, nothingness. The author has given that name to himself.
Thanks. And is that your background, or is a statue behind?
Oh no, this is the background, not statue.
Yeah, such a beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah. Hi, Bhendra sir.
Namaskar. One second, yeah. How are you? Very nice. Thank you so much. I didn't follow. I mean, it's very complex. My question is regarding the dream state. People say that there are deep dream state. Sometimes dreams are very light dream, like you remember the dream. Sometimes you don't remember at all. And how does that, in this context, explain?
Yeah, we call them as vivid dreams. So I would say that all dreams are astral travels. The moment you have you have stopped your functioning of your sense organs and your conscious mind, when the mind cessates, then immediately the soul takes the astral body and goes into the astral realm and experiences. So all the dreams are astral travels. But we need to understand that in deep meditative processes also, these astral experiences happen. We visualize that we are somewhere and we remember the entire process. So even that is also astral experience. So I would tell an example, I don't know, but this happened to me. Sometimes when you read it, it doesn't make sense. But last year in December, when my uncle, we call him Peddanana, so my mom's elder sister's husband, he was very weak. I didn't know, I haven't talked with him like last 7-8 months. So I got a very clear, crystal clear dream where I see that all my family members were there. Even he was there. All my family members, I don't know, I've never seen, my distant family members were also visible in the dream. And I'm trying to put kumkuma or this thing to everyone. And suddenly when I came near him, he said that don't put, I'm leaving. And I'm trying to put, but he's telling don't put, I'm leaving. And I just got up from the sleep and I was like, why did this dream come? And after 12 hours, I still remember my mom called and she said that he's vacated his body. So that is very bizarre. I never had that experience. So I was trying to understand that what is this? So then they say that when the soul leaves its physical body, it wants to try and meet its relationships it has formed in this physical body, because it's no more relating itself with the physical body. So we can't remember all our dreams, but there are nuances of the dreams that we remember. The more the meditation that you do, maybe the experience become more visually remembered. So I was doing a lot of meditation. I don't know why I connected and why the dream came, which was very surreal and sometimes frightening also, but that was something I really clearly remember. Not all my dreams, only 1 or 2 of them. So they say that you don't remember all your dreams, but all your dreams are astral travel. So that's what they say.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes. Yeah, Vindhya ma'am.
Ravli ma'am, I have one question actually. As you were saying, like, Urmi defies her death, right? Through
Mhm.
Hanumanji helps her. I was wondering, death is for body, right? Soul still continues. And it was like as per her destiny, maybe that was the time. I don't know, maybe I missed some part. So why, like, why did she have to go into another body, come back and all that? Was there still more purpose for her? Or is that just to, because you do it?
Yeah, so definitely he's trying to explain the concept of death here. But the story here is that Hanumanji says that, see, we go through a lot of experiences in our dream world also. As I said, that we get a lot of desires. Not every desire is possible to be fulfilled in this physical human world. So the soul uses the dream world to exercise some of its dreams. And eventually, for the soul, what it is, it's all about experience. That's it. So it doesn't matter whether it's in the real physical world or dream world. So the soul does not want us to remember also what happens in the dream world. Otherwise, we are normally out of the balance. If you want to remember everything, then you'll go out of balance. So that's something which the soul wants to put its detached itself from. Now here with Urmi, Hanumanji says that I'm telling this whole knowledge to you, Urmi, because see, if this thing or this experience of death can happen in the dream world, all this would not have been necessary. The soul would have gone into dream world and whatever experience it wanted to take, it would have taken, finish. But here the destiny dictates that you have to experience the concept of death in the physical body in this human world. So we can't stop the destiny, but you have you can you because what happens if the body of Urmi is dead, then again she has to go through another process of coming into reincarnation and all those things. But
Yeah.
Hanuman wants to give the knowledge here that you can detach yourself from this physical body and go to another body, live through that experience of the death, come back into your body and live, because all you need to go through experience of death. So and he also says that that's why majority of us have this inclination or fear to death, because we are associating ourselves with the physical body and mind. But death is very true, and they say that it's most comfortable and happy process rather than birth, because the soul is detached from all these things, right? It feels very light and happy from all expectations, attachments, and everything. So, but since we have not experienced it, we always fear of it, because we identify ourselves with the body and mind, and the thought that our body is gonna burn, or we are gonna end relationships, we're not gonna meet these people again. It creates a sense of fear, and that is coming from attachments. But when you're detached, like all the saints and yogis, they don't have any fear of death, is because of that, I think. That's what I feel.
So it was just for her to experience death in physical form.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Um, Okay, Masters, and yeah, we'll please do read this book. Definitely, you'll have your own understanding and amazing concepts. And yeah, we'll just go with the 10 minutes meditation.